right. Time for the week that was. Melanie Wilkinson
Good
joins
morning.
us. How we doing?
Great. Summer's here.
Yes. Join the hotter weather and sunshine outside right now. A lot of rain coming through in the last week, which is certainly good.
But you can't tell anymore.
No.
Like I was out in the garden last night and hoeing away. And it's so
Still
dry.
feels dry?
Again.
Yeah.
Oh, it was so dry again. I thought, well, you can't even tell. But that's okay. It's Nebraska.
It's just the reality.
That's what we do.
Yep. There you go. But other than that, had a pretty nice week, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah.
The PETA thing was pretty fun, wasn't
Speaking of Nebraska.
What?
Don't bring a PETA truck to, well, really anywhere in Nebraska. Don't come to York County to talk about, we don't like, raising and slaughtering and eating pork.
It's one of those things. Is if you want to cause a buzz, what's a way to cause a buzz? Well,
they caused it. Oh, they did. They got a buzz.
Right.
But I don't know if you saw my headline. At one point, I just said, oh, gosh, the stories right now.
Yep.
I think it said so far, PETA protest only amounts to an hour long looking for a parking spot, which was never found, by the way. But once that truck came into downtown, and I had been sitting outside the courthouse waiting to see how this was going to work. And they obviously didn't do their homework because they didn't know about the EPA situation down on the corner, which helped. Yeah. But then, boy, did the community turn out, filling every parking spot. So, because it wasn't just in front of the restaurant. It was blocks. There were people even filling spots in the Grand Central parking lot, I suppose, as an alternative in case they wanted to blare their situation somewhere else. It was, and I thought, this is not the place you're not going to find. And I guess that's their whole point. Go into places where they're going to get the most excitement and rise out of people. Yep. And they got a little bit. People were blowing air horns, driving next to him on the one-ways, and there were some signals of dislike. I guess I'll call it that. But I kept thinking, what a terrible job. But
to drive the truck, right?
To drive the truck.
Yeah.
You're driving this thing into a situation like this. But everybody was peaceful about it. Nothing bad happened. And that's good, because that's the last thing you want to have happen, is have some sort of altercation or something, because that would just get more attention that we're violent or something. But the restaurant was completely filled for hours, and everybody made sure. I don't know what time he finally gave up. Did you see?
I didn't. I just saw it briefly for a little bit, and he was circling around.
I gave up watching him at about 10 after 1.
I don't know if he went.
I tried to count
interstate.
his laps.
Okay. Yeah.
But after 63, I thought, you know what? I already have my story. I'm going to leave now.
You were at 63.
63, and then I quit counting, because then I'm like, this is stupid. PETA's not paying for my gas to drive around watching him. So, and of course I was driving the oldest vehicle we own. So I thought, I'm just going to stop. This is dumb. And then I gave up, and everybody.
You were driving a car where he was probably behind you going, what is this?
Well, and there was a parade. At some point, it became a parade. There was probably about 7 vehicles that were, which is ridiculous with the lights and the and the street closures and all of that jazz. But anyway,
it sounds like people were aware that this was going to happen.
They were,
and then the community members,
they really did.
They were out and about trying to
and
stop.
And like a lot of people said, they aren't against free speech.
Right.
It's just this is support of our ag community.
Yeah,
we can't stand for that because people's that's what people do here is raise livestock. So, and yes, this was all about hog confinements, but it also stretches into poultry and beef and everything else that we raise. So, yay, York County.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I think that's kind of what they saw in Valentine and Norfolk too.
Right. No elder woman was arrested, I don't think, in York like there was in Norfolk, which was one of the
sweet lady with that great big giant hat. Oh,
I know. Norfolk,
that
right?
was in Norfolk, and I thought, and the police, they were so tender with her as they tried to put her. Well, as they put her in the police cruiser, it was probably more for her own safety than it was for. Obviously, they weren't going to put her in jail.
Just to say, so this was a woman who the same truck was in Norfolk, and she was just honking, I think, in the middle of an intersection illegally.
And she was obstructing traffic. And
so just honking, and then when the truck passed, she's just kind of like, okay, all right, and she gets out of the car. And you could tell the cops were probably like, oh, man, we hate having to do this. And then, we feel so bad. But it's a funny / cool video of her getting out of the car with her walker and just going, I'm 81 years old.
And her lovely wardrobe, though. I thought, look at that hat.
Dressed in black, right? All black.
Dressed to the nines. She's, good day. That was my grandma. I'd be so proud. I'd be like, you go, Granny. It was cool.
Awesome. Well, anyway, that was it came to York last week.
And it's gone.
Yeah, it's gone.
I don't know where it went now, so
who knows?
Doesn't matter.
Could be
it
back.
Won't come back. No.
Let's hope not. All right, what else has been going on here in the last week?
Well, it might sound kind of boring, but it's actually one of the most important times of the year because we all have to pay taxes. So it's valuation protest time, which means it opened. So the period opened on June 1st. It'll go to the end of the month. If you are wanting to protest the valuation on your real estate property, this is the time that you can do it. And the protests are actually filed with the clerk's office, but York County Assessor Kurt Bulgren is asking, before you do it, why don't you come talk to us first at my office? And if you have questions and maybe we have errors, there might be things. Yesterday alone, the county board reduced 55 parcels valuations just because there was inaccurate information that had been filed. Like a man came in, the house on his property had been demolished, but the assessor's office wasn't aware of. They were never told. And also the imagery that they had from earlier still showed the house there. So they took that off. There's things that can be done.
Right.
However, yes, everybody's got a lot of heartburn because, and when we talked about this earlier in the year, valuations went up greatly. And a lot of that has to do with what they're saying. And we're seeing it all around the state, is especially here though too, because the markets and is obviously is driving, especially residential land sale prices, but also their value model, they're calling it, that hadn't been used in many years. So yeah, there's some people that they're seeing. One man came in. They did do some protests yesterday, and a man from Bradshaw came in and said his property went up 300%. 300?
Yeah.
It's a lot.
Some of them are double.
Well,
I know there's that one on South Lincoln Avenue that you mentioned in the article that went from like 25 to 56,000.
Right, and that's actually, that's a lot, but some have gone up a lot more than that. Right. But the thing too is to remember, yes, your valuation has gone up. That now it's up to what the different taxing entities set for their levies that determine what your actual taxes are. So in that note, Mayor Barry Redfern has said, and he has already given his preliminary budget to the council, and he said, I don't want to raise the tax asking, which would mean that the levy that we had last year, which is what you pay per $100 of valuation, he wants it to go down to even it out. Mm-hmm. So you would probably end up paying the same as you did last year, even though your value has gone up.
Right.
So that remains to be seen, as far as what the different tax, but there's a lot of taxing entities. We have the school district, the county, each individual village, the city, Southeast Community College, NRD. There's a lot of different tax entities. So we'll have to wait and see how this all plays out. But right now is the time. So if you really want to protest it, so what that means is you file a protest, and this gives you the ability then to have a scheduled hearing in front of the county board, which are sitting as the county board of equalization. Now, they don't set the value, but their job is to make sure that your value is in line with comparable properties. Well, I hear the argument as I say it. Well, if all the properties have gone up so much, what leg do you have to stand on? Again, but this is your chance to talk about it. And then they'll make a determination. And then you still have another opportunity that you can appeal it with Turk at the state level. And you can take it further if you want to. So it's not a done deal, but this is the time if you're going to do something about it.
Yep. You have until the end of June to do this as well, to file your protests. And I know you mentioned you could file them through the county clerk's office. I know one person with the county has said that if you have a question or concern about whether you could or could not file a protest, they'll answer some questions for you to find out whether the process is
whether or not it's warranted.
Right.
Like if you even want to go through with it, if they can find, if you have a valid reason that you can show that your value is out of whack, then you would probably just decide on your, and then you could change it. Then you would probably decide on your own that you don't need to. So it just depends on every circumstance is different. There was an individual who was talking about his property yesterday, and his is going to be hard to find comparables because it's such a unique property. So therein lies that. Then you also see where you have real estate listings where houses have sold for incredible amounts of money because we have such a shortage of housing stock. So it's just a transition, I think, that we're going to go through this year for sure. Next year probably won't be as painful, but that's because we're already going to be at those high levels. So.
That's right. Mm-hmm. Well, we'll keep updated with all of that stuff. Some other things going on here. If you're driving around York and you'll see where the future Veterans Memorial Park will be, you'll see a big sign up there right now.
Yes, it was really neat. Let's see, that was last Friday evening. Mm-hmm. This committee that's all made up of volunteers that has been meeting on this project since it came before the city council 2 years ago, just to use the land there. They've been working on this. So the Hunter Hogan Foundation and then also Ed Munt with Munster Vinyl and Tinning made this big sign to give a face to anyone who still wasn't clear as to where this is going to be. Mm-hmm. So they all got together, and a lot of, I say that, the Todds and Clay and Eddie were all out there with all their equipment and everything, and they put the sign up, which is a big moment for them because this is the opportunity to let everybody physically know this is where it is. There is an email address on that sign, and I also have it on the website that if you want to make a donation. Now, this donation is going to go towards the veteran memorial structures themselves.
Which are...
Well, this is
concrete.
Yes, they're going to be beautiful structures.
Yeah.
And there's
brick as well.
Yeah, and there's drawings there.
Yep.
Now, I have been getting questions this morning, and it's a very good question, and I'm going to ask it too. I haven't yet. We need to clarify too that they will be selling memorial bricks to honor certain veterans and first responders that will be out there. The question is, when they make a donation now towards the structures, will they also get a brick? Because it's not asking for that information. So we're going to be clarifying that in the next day or two. Because I think the way it was explained to me that these first donations are only to make the structures themselves. Then the brick sales will go towards finishing that park, and then the forest part will come after that. Yep. So if anybody has questions about that, I'm looking into it. We do need to clarify, how that memorial brick sale is going to happen. Yeah. So for right now, I think it's just for the structures, and then the brick sales will be independent and of this first phase. And then they'll get into that later, and then the tree part will come. And the tree part too will.
Tree part takes a little while longer, doesn't it?
It will. And then there's going to be an NRD participation in that.
Oh, very good. Yeah.
So this is just going to play out in phases. So for right now, it's just getting started. But again, I'll get that clarified. So
you can go to yorkparksandrec.com and there's some information on there. There's whole nother link to the York Veterans Memorial that you can go to and make your donations. And certainly, if you get a brick or not, your donation, I know, is certainly very appreciated.
And it's all going through the York Community Foundation too. So this is all legit. It's all, it's good. So
fantastic stuff. Well, I guess a recent bond election too. I know this broke yesterday, or was it news yesterday with the Centennial School bond election? I know this is kind of a little out of York County. It still involves some people here in York County, but that passed, and so the school is now. Is it true they're now able to make the renovations?
They can move ahead now. It's $7.9 million bond issue. Yes, so that passed. Not by a big margin.
No, and it's kind of similar with. I mean, wasn't York similar? I mean, haven't there been similar stuff where it's been a lot of against it, but a lot for?
Right, exactly. So, so it did pass, and we had to wait until later last night to find out the results because that school district's footprint lies in 4 counties. So each county clerk had to collect their ballots, drive them to Seward. And then the Seward County Clerk's office is the one that counted all of them. So it's done now. So there you go. That special election is fulfilled.
So we'll see what happens there. But that's for Centennial Public Schools.
There's going to be a lot of construction going on with schools.
Yeah. How about being the person that has to drive the ballots to another county? That feels like a pretty important job. Like, I better. It is. Better get there quick. Better get there safe.
I know. You've got the ballot boxes sitting in your. It's like carrying around. Well, it's not like carrying an organ in a cooler, but it is. It's extremely important. And I don't know how many were here in York County, but someone, as soon as that 5 o'clock hour hit, they locked the boxes and off they went.
Pretty important job.
I know.
Here. Yep.
I know.
Stop for some food on the way with the ballot boxes.
No,
right
I just drive straight on. Just straight on, get it done, and then you can do whatever you want.
Well, there you go. All right, Melanie, what else is going on here?
Well, we have community-wide garage sales are coming.
9 days away, June 20th, 21st.
I haven't seen what Michelle's got for her final numbers, but it'll probably be in the high 70s, maybe even higher. I haven't talked to her yet since she closed the thing, but we will have digital maps available, and then she will be putting out physical maps as well.
It's going to be popping. There'll be a lot of people.
A lot of bargains out there if you want somebody else's stuff and get rid of your.
They still have the York City Auditorium still hosting people who don't want to host one themselves? Are they still taking in some?
I don't know exactly. I saw this morning where they were having some glitches as far as their registering. I wasn't part of the auditorium, so I don't know. But Sheree Foltz would be the one to ask, or somebody at Parks and Rec, that can help you with that.
So it's coming up at the middle part of June next week. There, citywide garage sales. So fantastic. Well, Melanie,
okay,
thanks for coming in today.
Have a great week.
Yes, you as well.